Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Champions League preview here on Clubhouse TV with sportsbet.io. Loads of fascinating football on the Tuesday as well. Don't forget to go and watch that video ahead of Matchday 6. But let's talk the Wednesday with our good friend Daniele Fisichella. Daniele, we're going to start with Dortmund against Barcelona. It does look on the face of it like one of the tastiest games of the whole week of Champions League football. Dortmund 4th, Barcelona 3rd at the moment. The trend has been this season, if Dortmund are at home, don't take them on. If Dortmund are away, take them on. That is changed slightly by the quality of opponent, this fixture, isn't it?
Yes, it has changed because, against Bayern they drew last week, but that was the only time really they dropped point. They seem to be a very, very reliable side, and also a reliable side Dortmund in Europe overall. By the way, of last season 4 semi-finalists, they are the only one currently occupying top 8 position.
Wow.
That tells you really the standards. And since last season they only lost 2 games in the Champions League and they won 11, same as Real Madrid. And by the way, the only 2 they lost were against Real Madrid. So they can tell you the Borussia Dortmund are slowly but quietly sneaking into the top position. Cannot be underestimated. Maybe Nuri Sahin is getting his team shape right. Some of his changes, some of his formation at the beginning of the season didn't quite convince. Barcelona, on the other hand, they never lost to Dortmund in European competition, but the manager Hansi Flick had described the month as a horrible, obviously because this is a broadcast, we cannot use the exact expression he mentioned.
You can imagine what the swear word was.
You can imagine a very colorful one. 2-2 draw against Real Betis. I think sometimes the inexperience is creeping into this Barca side.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think that was the phrase I was going to use as well, because obviously on their day, when they're feeling it, they're terrifying. I mean, obviously they hit 5 past Mallorca, who are a pretty good side, let's be fair, in La Liga. But for Barcelona, draw, win, loss, win, draw across all competitions, that's bad form. That is bad form for Barcelona, even in the context of everything else that's going on at the club.
In a highly competitive league this season, in what it seems to be a 3-horse race, with Atletico Madrid also pushing on. Look, since that 4-0 win at the Bernabeu, Barcelona have only kept 2 clean sheets, and I think they regressed to mean a little bit. I would be really curious to see if Borussia Dortmund pushes them, because Barcelona have led for 66% of their matches in the Champions League, which is the highest percentage of any side. But what if they concede the first goal and they need to chase their result? Strangely, these 2 teams are well level on points, by the way, 12 points. Yeah. But Barcelona have got given bigger chances, around 78%, of finishing the top 8 than the Germans. And I think, again, perhaps there is an underestimation of how good Borussia Dortmund have been lately in the Champions League. Back goals, perhaps. All Barcelona games so far have produced at least 3 goals. 4 out of 5 games of Barca in the Champions League witnessed at least 2 goals at half time. So I think there is enough firepower in both sides to produce a goal that should go above the 2.5 thresholds.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And obviously a lot of Dortmund's tactics at the moment are based around trying to release Gittins in whatever possible way they can in terms of the pace that he brings. 5 goals in the league so far this season. He might be an interesting goal scorer play there, but he's possibly the next big money sale of Borussia Dortmund. We'll find out very soon.
Possibly. It'd be nice if we get given probably a chance in the England side as well, but it's very competitive. It's very competitive.
It is, but I'd like to think a player who's playing like that would have at least been considered. Maybe is the phrase I would use. It's interesting to know what phrases are being used at Juve and Manchester City at the moment. We're hearing some things from Pep Guardiola. They obviously were also, again, unable to win at the weekend, Manchester City, when they took on Crystal Palace. But Juve are just drawing games left, right and centre. They're struggling to kill teams off. Obviously, Vlahovic has been in and out of the side and in and out of form when he has been in. But these are 2 underperforming sides. So when you and I, as people who like a bet, look at this, Juve are a massive price in this game.
Absolutely massive. And City, by the way, are winless in the last 5 games against Juve. The average odds for City are lower than when they visited Sporting Lisbon back in November and the crisis was starting. So are Juve worse than Sporting Lisbon at the moment. I don't know. People will tell me. What is for sure that they've been drawn 19 games in the calendar year in 2024, which is an unwanted club record.
Yeah.
It's a team in transition, Juventus. 13 players in, 13 players out. You can tell that there is an idea, there is a philosophy that Thiago Motta is trying to instill. He hasn't yet bear fruits. And probably, but this is only the first third of the season. If things click and things goes their way, and of course Juventus recovers some of the injured players as well as Nico Gonzalez, Vlahovic, maybe Douglas Luiz gives some signs of life, but I won't be so sure about that. Maybe Juventus are in a good way, but has to be considered as the first season of a project, of a 3-4 years project. So patience is important in that case. Manchester City again drop points at the weekend. How vulnerable they've been this season, not only on counter-attacks. I checked since Rodri got injured against Arsenal on the 23rd of September, they have conceded 37 big chances in the Premier League, second only to Southampton. So they've been very, very gettable. And how many chances they conceded from set pieces? And I think that's the sign of the goal they conceded from set pieces against Palace, against Liverpool, against other oppositions. That's the sign of a team that is not switched on. Set pieces, the quality of the players goes out the window. You got to be switched on. You got to stay with your market. Kyle Walker at the moment is one of the worst performance, top defenders. Okay, I think he's really lost a bit of confidence there. Maybe a bit of rotations and a few days on the sideline would help him, because I think obviously he's still a great player. Look, we saw against Forest City playing really well, but the magic probably is still not there. There are still a lot of individual mistakes. Who do you back here? Very, very difficult. I think Juventus offer values only on the under 2.5 goals market at the moment. I can't see them scoring many goals. But on the other hand, you always think City could turn up and just win the game easily.
Well, that's the good thing about big prizes, isn't it? You could look at your double bet, your double chance, you draw no bet. You can always approach things in a different way using that bigger price. I don't think Juve lose that game, so the draw or a relatively pro Juve bet would be the one for me. We'll move on to Arsenal as they take on Monaco. Let's be fair, Monaco have been. It's a bit patronising to say one of the surprises of the season, because firstly they're not ripping things up and being phenomenal, but they're having a good Liga season, a decent Liga season. They're going well in the Champions League, 8th in the Champions League at the time of recording. And they've not got anyone who's in amazing form. They've just got loads of players who are all contributing. Balogun's had a decent season. Akliuche's looked very good as well. There's just good players in there, and it's a team that's working. I think similar in some ways to Fulham, who we obviously saw cause Arsenal big problems at the weekend. So again, the focus is on a definite Arsenal win. It might come to fruition, but I'm not entirely convinced.
No, because Arsenal are in a good moment, I think, since they recovered Odegaard. Of course, they have improved. But they are not quite a winning machine just yet. And I think the game against Fulham is frustrating for Arsenal fans, for Arteta. They had a lot of possession. Not enough chances, I would say. Then again, it goes back to the old argument: do they need a centre forward, a top class centre forward? Gabriel Jesus only scored 1 goal this season. I know he hasn't played many of the games, but I think in those sort of games you probably need somebody just to stick in the back of the net from a cross, etc. Unlucky Arsenal, the VAR ruled out the second goal. The offside of Martinelli was very, very marginal. But I think Fulham show compactness and they show resolve, and they were worth the point for the way they were set up. Coming to Monaco, I agree with you. I think he's an exciting side. He's a side that probably this season finishes in the top 24 of the Champions League, but next season best things are to come if they manage to keep hold of the talents. But without Liuter in charge, a manager that has been worked his way up for a very long time, extremely experienced, you would expect them to be disciplined. I don't think they deserve to lose the game against Benfica. They were unlucky, had the man sent off. But strangely, if you look at the odds, the average odds for Monaco to win away are the third highest for any away win on this match day. And again, I think the bookmakers sometimes put too much value, give too much value to the English sides. I think the market is somehow skewed towards the Premier League sides, and we know in England there are more bettors perhaps than in the rest of Europe. But I do think that here Arsenal are favourite, but I wouldn't put them so favourites as the odds suggest. But of course, that's for you to decide. But yeah, Arsenal, by the way, currently, based on statistical model, they favourites to win the competition. 19.6 chances, which is a very interesting one, because you wouldn't put them favourites. Well, depends where you look, but it's very close between Liverpool and Arsenal. Would you put them favourites to win the competition? Would you put them favourites to win the Premier League? I don't know.
But I suppose as well, just some of their performances. You think back to Shakhtar Donetsk, it was kind of flat and tight and a bit nervy. It's not just about needing that front man, because it's that phrase, isn't it? Oh, they need someone up front, but that's incredibly hard to find, particularly if you're not going to spend several hundreds of millions of pounds or whatever. So it's an interesting one, but they're just a little tighter in Europe and a little bit nervier. But you're absolutely right in terms of the Odegaard impact. It's been a huge change in how they've operated. The main cog has gone back in, and they've looked so much better.
And then they got the set piece, of course, the set piece storyline, the 23 goals from set piece on last season. Probably this will be one of the last few games for you to bet on Arsenal to score from a set piece, or for Saka to give an assist. Of course, the bookmaker cracked it. It's very easy. But again, I think it goes back to the point I made about City. On set pieces, it's all about the delivery, it's all about your position, it's all about how much you train, how much you focus on that. And how much you do your homework, because again, the quality goes out of the way. In a way, it's a very simple action, but yet very, very complicated. Arsenal has got a 20-goal striker per season in the set piece, which probably goes against the argument they don't need a centre forward after all. They just need another set piece coach.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the set piece coach thing is amazing because it's clearly worked. That's the amazing thing about it. And we will finish with AC Milan as they take on Red Star Belgrade here. Now, this on the face of it looks like a very simple AC Milan win. Yes, they lost to Atalanta. We've discussed that, but there's no shame in losing in Bergamo at the moment at all. Outside of that, they're going well. They obviously beat Slovan Bratislava. But this is kind of my thing, in that they're taking on a team who, admittedly, in a much smaller, much weaker league, are flying. They're looking phenomenal at scoring tons of goals. They're barely conceding. But AC Milan, admittedly away in Bratislava, weren't massively convincing in that 3-2 win. So this isn't for me about whether or not AC Milan can win. It's about to what extent can Red Star Belgrade cause them a problem. And I think that's what makes this game really interesting.
And this is where the Red Star Belgrade mindset plays a massive part. Because will they go for it? Red Star Belgrade have got 3 points, okay? Now, according to statistical calculation, 9 points in the table give teams a 46% chances of making it to the playoff. So not really sure. 7 points in the table gives them a 0.3% chance of making the playoff. Which means the draw for Red Star Belgrade is almost useless because they go to 4 points and then they got 2 games left. The next 2 games for Red Star Belgrade, by the way, are PSV at home and Young Boys, last game of the league phase, already eliminated, probably away. So if Red Star loses this one and then they finish on 9 points, they might get eliminated. So they might need that extra point here to get them to 10. But again, would they speculate? Would they settle for a point? Will they give a go? Because I think Red Star Belgrade have got goal scorers in their sides. Even in the 4-0 loss against Inter, the scoreline flattened the Italian quite a lot. Whereas Milan, on the other hand, got all winnable games. You got Girona and Dinamo Zagreb away. 54% chances, according to the stats, of finishing the top 8. You would have never thought about it after the first 2 games they lost. So, it's there for the taking, really, for AC Milan. In Serie A, I think they are disappointing. 8 points less in the table compared to last season. They don't keep any clean sheets. Only clean sheets this season have come against Venezia, Lecce, Udinese, Monza, Empoli, and the 0-0 against Juventus, which was a forgettable game. Against Atalanta, did well in the first half, set up well in the counter-attack, really. Didn't create chances in the second half. They don't have the defenders to defend deep and positionally. They will eventually concede. So the strategy for Milan is they will dominate the ball, probably try to attack as much more, but I think Red Star could hurt them if they have got the right mindset. By the way, no Pulisic for Milan, is injured. this is a big blow. But I would expect Chukwueze to start on the right, Leao on the left. Really, Milan needs to rack up the goals as well. The goal difference in this Champions League is going to be massive, so it could be anything. But again, watch out for Red Star Belgrade. And one player in particular, which I liked a lot when he played in 17-year-old Andrija Maksimovic. One to watch, one to write it down. Couple of years, I think we'll see it in the Premier League.
For those of you who play Football Manager, that is a name that might actually pop up a bit as well. And the likes of Luka Ilic. I mean, Luka Ilic scored 4 in the league in the last run. Former Trois man, was at Twente, I think, as well for a little while. So he's a player. I mean, you could look towards a goal scorer for Red Star Belgrade, but AC Milan to win. That could be a way to go about it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about opposing AC Milan. It's just finding ways in which Red Star Belgrade can hurt them. And I think there are quite a few. It is another brilliant week of Champions League action. Don't forget to take a look at all of the videos on the Clubhouse TV channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do whatever you want with them. But don't forget to keep them watched. Daniele, thank you so much as always, mate. Beautiful, fantastic analysis as always. And we'll see you on the next show.